like a mountain to stand tall? Ain't it like the downtrodden to rise after they fall? When the climb up top don't seem to end, ain't it like the highest mountain, my old friend? Ain't the roads to freedom rougher than they seem? Don't the plans of peace begin with just one dream? Ain't it like an ocean to surround?
Whether you call it Chado, Sado, Chanoyu, or simply the tea ceremony, Chawan are tea bowls, and they're made for use in that ceremony. And I just love these. To me, they have a very organic, earthy feel to them. It's really important to be centered within ourselves before we can center something outside of ourselves or bring it into center. If we do that, I find that it's really pretty easy to center up a piece of clay. So even though the finished tea bowl is going to seem maybe a little bit out of control, they're just fun and challenging to produce. And I'm going to leave a fair amount of clay down in the bottom of this. It's going to be about that thick so that I can trim a really nice pronounced foot onto it. Collectors of ceramics, practitioners of tea, tea masters definitely, will take a tea bowl and immediately flip it over to see how well it's been trimmed. And I'll show you some of the trimming process later. So clay shrinks in the drying and firing processes. And so it becomes fairly important, if you want a tea bowl to nestle just so in someone's hands, to have established feel for how much larger you need to make the piece, so that once it shrinks down, it fits the user's hands. Clay has a bit of a memory when it's been formed on the wheel. Part of what I'm doing now is establishing a form that's going to occur later, and then the clay will have a memory for that. So now I'm compressing this, and that form we had earlier is disappearing, but the memory of it is in there. I'm going to give this a little more height. I'm going to define this lip a little bit more strongly now. Smooth it up. Straighten the walls again. Maybe give it just a little more height. And now I'm ready for the faceting step. And I'm going to facet this into an octagon. I'll cut down the sides. I save these pieces. It's not uncommon to tear all the way through a bowl when it's being formed. And so if I need to repair this piece, I will have those slabs ready to do it with. So I'll show you those facets. It's a good idea at this point to go ahead and start to define the area where the foot's going to go. And I like some of these chunks that develop down here. I like that rough edge that's being created there. It's already starting to tell a story about the quality that clays have. So here's the part where it gets interesting. I'm essentially going to be using one hand from the inside, and I'm going to be stretching this form out to form a more bowl-like shape. In doing that, some of these more vertical lines are going to get distorted. The whole form is going to distort quite a bit. You really want to have the lip established before you start this next step. Alright, well, let's just do it and see how it goes. And I'm just using pressure from inside and centrifugal force, and the memory that that piece had is allowing it to form a bowl-like shape. And you notice it drops a little bit, and that's calculated into it as well. And now I'm going to clean up the inside a little bit and smooth that surface up. And now we have that contrast between the controlled center of the piece, the inside of it, and this really, I think, interesting exterior that to me just looks like it was pulled from the earth, cut from the earth. And yeah, I just love these for use with matcha green tea. It has that nice irregular lip, and yeah, this should be nice. So now I have a tea bowl that I formed earlier on the wheel. I've got it centered up here where the foot's going to go. The rest of it, I'm not so much worried about. Every now and then, because those lips are wobbly, it's necessary to actually tuck a piece of clay under it so that you can level this working area up here in order to trim a foot. And I really like to get these things stuck down here because there's quite a bit of torque on the piece once I start applying pressure to trim it. And you can't let this unevenness push you around too much. You have to take control. It's a lot like centering the clay, and in fact what we're doing right now is in a sense recentering the piece once again into the foot. There's a trick the potters use to see. You can almost hear it. You can definitely tell if you push it in, but you don't really want to do that. How thick it is. The foot's what gives a pot its groundedness. It's what it rises up from. And I also want to hang on to some of this wildness that's taking place with the rest of the form and have it make a natural transition between this foot that's very controlled and this form that's very loose. And that's a really, I think, nice, quiet foot for this particular piece. is. So there you have it, a winter tea bowl and a summer tea bowl, made in the ceramic studio here at Heartwood Mountain Sanctuary. I will be producing a series of videos for Heartwood on a variety of techniques in the studio. So you might want to go check out Heartwood at heartwoodhub.com on the internet, or subscribe to their YouTube channel at Heartwood Mountain Sanctuary. Thanks for dropping in. Oh, stick around to the very end because I'm going to do a cameo. Where do I know that from? I just can't get it out of my head. Anyway, that's a wrap, and I hope you'll catch us next time.